This local marketing update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about the minute and a half or 2 minute late start there. Just running into some computer problems, but good thing for a Mac and a nice quick restart. But this is our weekly local member update, and we've got a few different things this week. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be the 26th of March on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Now, this week, we've got a few different things to be able to cover. It's exciting. Matt Cutts has come out and he's talking about what actions they've taken on a very large guest blog network. And we've got some discussion about authorship. Now, how authorship has affected rankings and what you can do to manipulate your authorship in order to be recognized and increase that authority. Google has also made some discussion about a Panda algorithm update that's going to be a little bit softer, as they put it, to help small businesses rank. There's been some changes over at the GetListed tool, so I'm going to talk about that. And covering a few different things that has transpired in Google Local in this last week. And then finally, I know it's a busy week, we're going to talk about the which of the three search engines, it's a report that has come out in a study and looked at a variety of different data, which of the three search engines is most friendly for local businesses and showing their different results. All right, so first off, Matt Cutts, he has given some discussion about a large guest blog network and that they're cutting off. You know, it almost seems every single week there's something new that's changing that Matt Cutts is discussing in regards to we're shutting this network down and we're shutting that network down. And these are all tied into the algorithmic updates. But it's a discussion of the risks of guest blogging. Now, what I'm going to talk about next is authorship. And essentially, there's authority assigned to different pieces of content that we know, but it's also tied to the author. And so your content could get a variety of different exposure from the authorship. However, somebody else's, even on a more authoritative website, is not going to get essentially the same authority for that. So when we're talking about guest blogging, well, it's just that. I mean, if you're hiring somebody that's got no authority at all from somewhere overseas, just to be able to put content on, or you're putting content on those types of blog sites or sites that just don't have any authority from authors, it's not going to help you. Essentially, at certain points of time, it could hurt you. Maybe not get to the point where you're going to get manual penalties put on you, but that type of content will not show and essentially hurt your rankings a little bit further. So Google has come out and finally claimed that authorship does affect the rankings. Well, what is an author going to do, and how is an author going to increase their authoritative authorship? And what is authorship if you don't know? It's essentially embedding certain content on the internet that's tied into a specific person, profile that's online, usually Google Plus, and on Google results, of course, they look for Google Plus tie-ins. And what are the obvious things that are going to influence an author's authorship authority on the internet? Well, if content is shared, so you're going to have followings in different areas, different sites, you're going to increase that, and you're essentially looking for content to be exposed and shared. So if you've got if you've got clients or you've got your own business webpage and you've got a certain amount of likes that are on that, um, that's not going to be where content is going to be recognized by Google. You'll want to get that exposure on a Google Plus network. Maybe host meetups or um, different Google Hangouts, or having different type of content that ultimately is shared. And you want to encourage people to communicate with you on Google Plus as well as Facebook. Uh, so it all works down the chain. If you can visualize how this is somewhat of a pyramid, where you've got, at the end of the day, you've got the business at the very, very top, and then they get their information and exposed onto the main layers, and those sub layers uh, are pieces of content that are elsewhere on the internet. But that's the content that you can share into your tiered ranking. Now, Google has also created a blog post in regards to creating a softer and gentler Panda. Um, I mean, what does softer really mean? It can mean a whole variety of different things, but it's essentially there to help small businesses. And we're going to look at some data that has come out earlier uh, in the last week in regards to what businesses are getting the most amount of attention on different websites and search engines, and um, which search engines ultimately are really focusing on small businesses. You could really tell that. Well, Google is definitely one of them. Um, they've not indicated when this is going to be released, but it's likely going to be within the next 2 to 3 months. But it's still quite some time away. Now, one of our favorite tools, one of our favorite free tools, is GetListed.org. Now, GetListed.org is not as good as some of those paid tools that are out there. I'm a supporter and user of Bright Local. Bright Local really can dig deep into identifying citation information and whatnot. But GetListed was bought by, at one time, SEO Moz, now just Moz. And GetListed has been rebranded as Moz Local. So when you go to getlisted.org, you're going to be forwarded to a Moz domain, and you can see that they're starting to build up their local tools. Now, they're trying to encourage you and encourage agencies to pay for their service, but the functionality is still essentially the same. They're limiting the way the information is being presented. It's being presented more in a graphical form now as opposed to a text form. So we still get a picture. It's good for the sale process. It's a good tool for that. It does give a score and identify where there's opportunities, um, but it's not as detailed, the amount of information. I don't know what the paid version is going to offer you. They're comparing themselves to Yext, UBL, the Universal Business Listings. Yext is $500 a year and doesn't have the power. Moz Local is going to be $50 a year, well, 49. They do work with the 5 major data providers, aggregators in the United States, and it's fairly quick to get going with them. Just some quick things here about what happened last week. There's been some transitions to the new dashboard status. They haven't changed it since 2007, so to see a new dashboard, it's nice. It's nice and refreshing, and it's only going to get better. I know there's been a lot of complaints about it, but there's always going to be complaints when people change websites. Bulk uploads and securities, there were some updates with that. Google Maps is now showing some owner responses to certain reviews and whatnot. That's really, really positive on the mobile side. That was restricted for some period of time, but it's nice that they've been able to move to that now Owner responses, you're limited quite a bit to the length of the comments that they can put compared to a standard review, but nonetheless, they've got the ability to respond. Now, a study came out. This was done by David Mim and company, and Miles over at Bright Local, excuse me. Miles Anderson is the owner of Bright Local, and this was published in Search Engine Land. But nonetheless, it discusses the most generous search engines to local businesses. And they looked at different types of keywords, service keywords, and long tail keywords, and just basic generic keywords such as plumber or service, radiator repair, or long tail keywords, emergency 24-hour plumber. And then they also looked at, with the geomods as well, adding a generic local or service-based plus location, or a long tail plus annotation. Now, with the results, they were looking for, first off, at real estate with all of these different results. And which search engine gave more space to local businesses? Well, they looked at the local results, which got large website exposure, and then finally local businesses. And on all of these different search terms that they had tried out, they had found out that Google showed a total of 19% of the real estate to local businesses, whereas both Bing and Yahoo are only at 9%. So that's more than double the amount of space that Google is showing for local businesses. They also noticed, when they started to break that down and look at different types of keywords, the generic keywords, the service-based keywords, and long-tail keywords, were that Google was predominant in generic and service. But once you started to get the long-tail keywords, both Bing and Yahoo seem to be favoring local businesses. I guess Bing and Yahoo then are assuming that longer tail keywords are being searched more often, and that's more of a specific search. I don't know, but it's also an indicator perhaps that Google knows a little bit more about local businesses. Now, they also looked at the split of removing the geo mod. That would be saying plumber in Chicago and removing Chicago and just doing a search for plumber. Now, one would initially suspect that just doing a search for plumber may be somebody doing research and not looking for a local plumber if they're not putting in a location. But that's absolutely not the case, as location is determined by a lot of different factors, especially with 50% of local searches now being on mobile. They pretty much know where mobile phones are. Google, again, was the predominant player, showing 34% of the real estate in terms of search results for the geomods. Now, that doesn't come as a surprise, but it's nice to know this type of information. We've known that Google has got the largest market share. It's also nice to know that they're favoring local businesses. They're trying to push that a little bit further. Just to look specifically a little bit into Google, I wanted to pull some additional data and just make reference to this. That just within Google, looking at the amount of real estate that they give local businesses for what types of keywords. And interestingly, the more generic the keyword was, the more real estate local businesses were getting. That would be just, for example, plumber, and that's it, as opposed to 24-hour emergency plumbing service. The next in line was having a generic keyword, plumber in Chicago. Well, again, that's your location keyword. That's a little bit more obvious. Next being service and location, then just service, long tail keyword, and a long tail keyword and location. Interestingly, Google gave the smallest percentage of results being 19%. So some fun stuff for local businesses. I'm going to take 30 seconds, and when I come back, I will get to questions.
Well, thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week, so if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for a free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.